So tonight I want to cover off what I think is a really important space in the world at the moment. And I went out today, and from children, we've got a weight issue up to grown-ups and people who seem to have lost their way. Now, there are different cohorts of people with weight issues, and menopause is a totally unique weight situation on its own. But overall, as cultures around the world are trying to Americanize, I think, or getting more stressed, the more we're moving away from natural anchorage, the greater weight seems to be going on. Now, when I've been in this space as a nutritionist naturopath now since 2002, and look, women might come to me and say, I want weight loss. I go, really? Is that? And when we peel it back, what they really want is not to have that bloat. They don't want to feel like their belly's just popped out at the end of the day. They want to feel confident when they put on swimwear. They don't want to feel like they're being judged. They want more energy. They want some control over this rubber band thing going back up to the fridge or the pantry and eating. They want to be able to eat a beautiful meal without feeling guilty or counting calories or think they've got to offset it. They want to feel sexy and attractive. And at the end of the day, I think it's very achievable to have sustainable weight loss, but there are some things that we have to pay attention to, and if we don't, then it does become a yo-yo, and that's not fun. So, sustainable, easy, natural weight loss is there. It is there for your grabbing. And tonight, if nothing else, I want to inspire you if you've given up a little bit to reignite some passion that you can have, all those things we we're just talking about. But if you continue doing what you've been doing, you're going to get the same result you've always got. That kind of makes sense. Unless we change something, it's highly likely we're going to get what we've already got, and we're a prodigy or a result of what we've been doing. Now, this clip, this little image, I love. This was brought out in 2012 or so in America, and it's called the steering wheel meal. And, with this gusto of life, came this great idea that, hey, let's with the drive-through grab rubbish phenomena, let's put a sleeve over the steering wheel so people can eat on the run. There are so many things wrong with that, and I know from the outset we all kind of go ooh, but how many times do we do that in different ways? How many times do you actually sit down, wait 5, 10 minutes so your gastric acid can switch on, drop your systemic, your sympathetic, your adrenaline system, so you can go into that rest and digest system, so you can fully get the nourishment and honor the food that you're about to embark upon. If you're a master at eating, you probably have this nailed, but even I'm guilty of this. Sometimes I'm just, I don't know, preoccupied, or I go, oh, I feel like I know all the tips, so I'll eat in front of the computer. It's an absolute no-no. So, for those who don't know my past history, I'm very passionate about females globally, about our sisterhood, about traditional methods, about tribal methods. What has served us over eons? So much has changed in the last 50 years, and the more we step away from our grassroots, the more I see illness and disease occurring. Having said that, of course, there's improvements. This top left, I've done a bit of work in Nepal, set up a birthing suite, and there's been some radical improvements there. But we still need to stay very anchored in nature, because Mother Nature is our cocoon. It's our womb. That's where we came from. It's where we should stay. These are my kids down the bottom left. I've got three of them. Um, both of the girls, all of the girls, both of the girls have contacted me today. Interesting. My son is very efficient with his communication and only does it when he needs something. These are some of my books on the right-hand side. And yes, go on TV reasonably frequently discussing that space in between I was talking about, from pharmaceuticals to natural to breaking it down that's palatable for what you'd call mainstream. I love this book. It's about hormones, because people run in front of obstacles when they go to lose weight, and they'll calorie restrict, they'll up the exercise, they'll punish themselves, and they won't budge a thing. And it is so disheartening. But until your hormones are balanced, the rest isn't a waste of time. Like, it's good stuff to do, but the expectation might be too high that they're going to get you over the line if you've got hormones that are out of balance. Now, just to kind of give you an update on what's been happening in the space of weight loss since I've been in the space, which is nearly 3 decades, um, and this is Australian data, but more than 300 Australians a day are being diagnosed with diabetes. One person every 5 minutes. Now, to me, and this is what I can't let Deborah in. Darn, I'd like to, but unless I throw a bullet and get admit. Too hard basket. Sorry, Deborah. Ah. Um, sorry, I don't know if you can see that, but someone's trying to get in. Um, the model of the dietitians, and look, many of my friends are dietitians. I've had countless patients that have been dietitians. This calorie counting phenomena, which, if you're a prodigy of the 90s, like growing up through those teen years, Weight Watchers was a thing. Reduce what you're eating, you should be able to lose weight. Now, it was such a punished kind of model, and people became very nervous about eating. And in fact, what it led to was this, doesn't really matter where you get your calories from. If you keep it under 1500, you can eat rubbish. And I don't want to say that's what dietitians recommend, but I've seen many clients over the years that have seen dietitians and diabetics, and they just say if you have extra carbs, then up your insulin. And that's kind of the philosophy behind it. If you have more carbs, up your insulin. Where the calories come from don't matter. And I'm just so against that as a nutritionist. It does matter. The whole uh, the whole ecosystem of where that plant was growing, who the intention behind that, how it got to your plate is so important, and will carry charge and it will never do you harm if it's from the best sources that you can find. So back to diabetes, it's crushing Australia and most developing countries. In fact, globally, I'd say this is our true pandemic. We have a problem, Houston, with people blindly just eating too many calories and most of them carbohydrates, such as pastries, breads. Look, pasta's a great food in the right environment, not the way I've seen people eat it. So 120,000 Australians developed diabetes last year. That's for the Aussies on here. That's the size of Toowoomba. That's a big country town every year. Now, some of the failures of dieting, and I'm not a diet fan, and I want to explain why, um, is people start craving things, so they become food obsessed. They get stressed, and so they'll backlash out. Their metabolism may slow down, and there's this emotional burnout around it. It's a lot of effort to diet, like feel like you're counting calories. So the solutions at the moment seem to be injected drugs, surgery, calorie counting, meal replacement shakes, calorie restriction, fasting, intermittent fasting, detoxing, fat freezing. These are all things, but none of them really last long term, and many people regain weight. Not about that. Now, I wish I could get Debbie in, but I don't think I can. Um, so stimulants. Now, if you've ever been to a doctor, pop in the chat if you have been offered Duramine, or even if you've tried it. It is a form of speed, and I say that lovingly. It's designed to boost your metabolism, like increase the rate that you chew up calories. In doing so, it increases the rate that your brain thinks and everything else, which is why I've got Dorothy with the Wizard of Oz there. It can make you feel a little bit trippy and high. It can interfere with sleep. And if you're adrenally depleted in the first place, it's just going to worsen that issue. It's like taking 10 cups of coffee, and there are plenty of gym boosters out there that have that strategy of caffeine and guarana in them. Even green tea in high amounts is a stimulant. Now, majority of people I see are already burnt out. Pushing their adrenals more does not lead to better results. It just petters them out. They feel bleh, and they often can regain weight, even if it did work initially. Now, weight loss injections, the world has been ravished by these. In Australia, we have now, I think, 5 available. So Ozempic, Mounjaro, Saxenda. Um, there's, yeah, there's a lot. The concept is these drugs, when injected, shut down your GLP-1 receptor sites in the gut, or they agonize it. They actually launch into it, which then sends a message to the brain that you're full. So they work on the ethos that you're full and thereby reducing weight. Sure, they do work. They've been shown to work nicely, but we're finding the side effects of these are horrendous. It was already documented. And when I'm hearing people kind of go, oh, I was shocked, my doctor didn't tell me. Do you do diligence? Every drug has to go through, except for some, but most of them have to have product information behind them that validate any claim that they make. And you can go and read those things, and they'll also have adverse events there. Now, the adverse events are coming through very, unfortunately, strong for this drug. In Australia, 26 deaths from Ozempic since launch about 6 years ago. Now, small country, this is underreported. This is the government website where people are meant to report to. In America, it's the FDA. Similar reporting system through the CDC. But what we find is that, and I've been a nurse for years, this is underutilized because it's labor intensive. Some people don't report stuff. The paperwork's like as thick as a Bible. There's so much you've got to do. So people just go, oh, well, look, it probably was a drug interaction. They probably got pancreatitis because they were on Ozempic, even if they match those dots, which many don't. But if they were to do that, do it. They don't even think to report it as an adverse reaction because it's too much paperwork. Mounjaro, another one in Australia that's been there for now, I'd say since May, 2 years ago, 2 years now, 6 deaths reported. So this is about 5 to 10% of what's actually happening out there. If natural things were doing this, it would be ripped off the market in a heartbeat. However, people persevere, and the side effects. So there's side effects, which are diarrhea, muscle cramping, protein wastage, and then there's adverse events, which are a little bit more sinister and might need medical intervention, such as pancreatitis, thyroid cancer, which all cancers with these are from 0.5 to 1% of people who take them. It is high. And the big question, and this is what's coming through now, what happens when I stop? People are finding they're regaining the weight. So it's not a long-term solution. I had a lady today, I've had a few consults today, and she was on Ozempic and she came off it because she found not just muscle wastage, but she was getting injured from it and it was sapping her energy. She'd been on it for maybe a year, and now we've got to deal with the damage it's done. And it didn't really help with weight anyway. Now, surgery is another option doctors might offer you. The most popular one at the moment is the one on the left, the sleeve. So what happens with a sleeve or gastrectomy, gastro being your tummy, ectomy to remove, they remove 2/3 of your tummy. They go in and slice your beautiful stomach and take 2/3 out. Now, I want to be really clear because I don't think this is explained to people. They do not freeze that in case you change your mind. That goes in the bin, it gets incinerated. This is a one-way street. You can see when you take that much of your gut out, you're then dropping your ability to produce hydrochloric acid, cholecystokinin, which is important for protein metabolism. Sure, you might feel full sooner because there's less tummy to stretch, and it's the stretch receptors that go up to our brain say, hey, I'm full, but you're missing out on all that beautiful nutrition from your food, and it's irreversible. So what I'm finding is often the real issues behind why people have gained weight is because they haven't been discovered, or people aren't actually being honest about what's going on. They're not telling the person in front of them that they have an issue with comfort eating, or they're drinking excessively, rum and cokes or something like that, because they don't feel safe. And it's really important, anybody you engage with, that you have that environment where you feel okay to be you and not judged. I must say here, with something like weight, I'm not too sure why people keep going to doctors for weight loss when the only people I see having really wonderful results in this space are nutritionists and personal trainers. I'll just put that out there as a thought. So one of the little white elephants in the room with many people, and I'd say myself at times, is overeating. And that's because there's a lot of psychology about why we eat when we feel full and the size that we eat upon. So, same pizza. I know it's not a great example, but let's just roll with it. Same size pizza on the left on a really large plate, on the right, a small plate. You can pop in the chat if you like. Which one do you think is going to make you feel full? I'll check everyone's answers later. But if you're like what research shows, the one on the left leaves people hungry, so they'll eat more. The one on the right, simply because it was served on a smaller plate and conceptually or perceptually seems more than the plate, as great as the plate, makes people feel fuller sooner. The tip here is to use smaller plates and smaller knives and forks. It's been shown to work incredibly well. The other thing with this is that normal sized people, so people who don't have a weight issue, underestimate how much they're consuming by 20%. So, and I know, when I ask people to just ad lib what they ate today, oh, I had this, and they forget about the little munchies they had. They forget about the extra wine they had. Everyone underestimates it. People who have a weight issue underestimate by 30 to 35%. Now, underlying metabolism issues are a really big issue. So this is potentially a blood sugar problem. So this might be the girl who's in her fertile years who is producing lots of testosterone. I had one today actually. Her testosterone is incredibly high and a cortisol. And there's just no way knowing she's going to lose weight because both of those two hormones, which women produce under stress, push insulin up. And if you've got high levels of insulin, you're making fat. You're not balancing fat. If you're eating too many carbohydrates and not exercising in the next 30 to 60 minutes, your body similarly will go, okay, let's store this extra energy that's circulating in our bloodstream as fat. It's a life-saving mechanism, but it's not necessarily what we want. So blood sugar levels and the person in the red, just as an example, and this is how nuanced this can be. Healthy person wakes up, has fruit salad, maybe a Thai latte or chai latte or something, healthy, goes to work, 10 o'clock, their blood sugar has already started to drop because nowhere in there were fats and proteins. So they get a glitch or a rise in the blood sugar as the sugar's absorbed out of the food. They release insulin. Insulin, the wonderful hormone that it is, facilitates that sugar or that glucose into the cells where it can be used for energy. Then there'll be a rebound drop. They get there about 10 o'clock. Oh my gosh, I'm craving something. I need an apple. Because this person's healthy. They're not having dippity bix, but maybe other people are having cereal, coffee, biscuits, sandwiches, focaccias, etc. But let's stick with the healthy person. Fruit salad for brekkie, nice cup of tea. By 10 o'clock, they will have dropped their blood sugar. They'll be looking for more carbs. Maybe an apple, maybe some more fruit, maybe some sushi, maybe some rice cakes. Up goes their blood sugar, and within about an hour, it'll drop again. So by the time they've hit lunch, they've already done two swings. When we're high with our insulin, we make fat. It's called lipogenesis. Lipo, fat, genesis to make. We make fat. We also feel a little bit anxious, we can't concentrate, but it's better feeling that way than it is feeling low because when we feel low, we get sleepy, fatigued, we lose total concentration, our metabolism slows down, and so we also seek out carbs. So this seesaw is very easy to create, and the clue to this, in case we don't recircle on this one, is to add more protein in. Because as soon as you add protein, you go like the green line. So let's say at breakfast they had fruit salad, but not 16 pieces of fruit, maybe 2 pieces of fruit and some nuts. Maybe some sunflower seeds, some walnuts, some pepitas, maybe some granola. Lift the protein up, and that will releases another hormone called glucagon, which stops this insulin swing. Same deal. If you like apples, great. Have an apple for morning tea, but add in a handful of nuts or some hummus and carrot sticks. Protein, carb, protein, carb, protein, carb, never carbs on their own. Wrong exercise. And this is very pertinent for women going through menopause. What happened prior to menopause will not matter now. The body and the metabolism change through menopause, and pulling tires over car parks and doing boot camps is only going to keep you in a holding pattern of adrenal fatigue. If there's a weight gain during menopause, generally it's because your hormones are going through a little reshuffle. You might be resetting what we call the weight set point. So it is a natural thing to go from saying if you've always been 55 to say 57, that might become your new weight set point. And that's normal. We have to lean into that. What isn't normal is going from 57 kilos to 67 kilos, size 8 to a size 12 and feeling like you've got no control over your body. Now, if that happens, that is definitely a metabolism issue. The solution to it's not to punish your body and do hardcore exercise, is to do different exercises that allows your adrenals to catch up. So things like Tai Chi, swimming, walking, yoga, stretches, all wonderful exercises that during menopause should have more leaning on than marathons or boot camps and boxercise. If you've got questions about that, please pop it in the chat. Detox pathways. So it's no secret that when you live in a modern society, you're being bombarded from the air, the water, the food we eat, the stuff we're in contact with, even on our skin, the nylons, the synthetics, the dyes, the smells, the carpets, the whole kit caboodle. And our beautiful body has to process that. Now, this photo is from where I've been the last week at Manjai, and this is how they start our day off with bit of psyllium and a little bit of bentonite clay, which helps the gut detox. Oh, I've left the gut off there. Liver, lymphatics, kidney, skin, lungs, and tummy, gut. Oh my goodness. Probably one of the biggest waste systems we have in our body. Just to the middle of that is some honey and some apple cider vinegar. There are ways we have historically and traditionally helped our body detox, and that's when we're walking around without shoes and living in the bush. These things become even more imperative when we're living in built up concrete jungles because, as I said, it's coming from the skies, it's coming from the ground, it's coming from our clothes, everywhere. We have to help our body detoxify, which means help it process things that are foreign to the body and also things that are natural to the body. Even food requires detoxification. So detoxification is very much a process where our body is exposed to something, whether it's orally or we've inhaled it or it's through our skin. And we have to work out whether it's friend or foe, whether it's good for us, if it's bad for us. And then we still have to process it. Now, assuming it's good, we try and get it to the cells and utilize the good stuff out of it. That creates a fair bit of debris and waste, which we then have to transport away, get back into the system, either through the lymphatics or the circulatory system, and get it out of the body. The synthetics, the chemicals, the preservatives, and all the other stuff we're exposed to, we also have to somehow manage and get it out of our body. Otherwise, it does accumulate. And we do find that adipose tissue, which is fat tissue, can be inundated with a stack of toxic matter. The body will shove it away if it can't cope with it. Now, hormone imbalances, my favorite topic, and hopefully you find this interesting. If you've got questions about as I go through, I've added a few more slides to this just today to explain these really common things that I see when I do saliva testing. I'm adamant that saliva testing brings forward much better information than blood testing, and that's because of how these particular hormones, not all hormones, but sex hormones and stress hormones bind to different things in the bloodstream. So when you do a blood test, you only get partial picture. We want to know what the active hormone is, what's spilling into your tissues, what's letting your body down, what's overdriving it, etc. So this person, female, this one, the cortisol should be on waking, which is at one of our stress hormones, should be about 24. So theirs was more than double, like 250% higher than it should be. Ladies, I can guarantee you will never lose weight if your cortisol's high. it's a mechanism that the body's hardwired to do. It hasn't got time to do it because it's in fight or flight mode, number one. But it also goes, oh, maybe I better stack this fat away just in case we need it, you know. If doomsday's coming, might need some supplies, better shove it away. And this is probably, I would say at the moment, over the last, I've been doing this for 25 years. Over the last 5 years, I think cortisol is the white elephant in the room. Eating with high cortisol will lead to fat gain because cortisol tells insulin to go up because there's a whole series behind that with your stress response where a stack of sugar is released into the bloodstream. So you've got the double whammy, high cortisol, high blood sugar insulin, and you will make fat. And you certainly will not be able to lose it. In this particular person, very menopausal type of picture, low progesterone, night flushes, low sex drive, high estrogen, maybe had a history of fibroids, breast lumps, etc., but also flushes. So there's this bit of a myth. I'll just touch on this because Lee was asking about it before. With menopause, there's a myth or a very strong narrative that every woman isn't making estrogen. Well, it's simply not true. The saliva tests that I've been doing for years show that about 40% of women actually have high estrogen through menopause. About 30% will normalize it, so they might go from high to low, and then 30% will have low estrogen. So sure, low estrogen can happen, and I definitely see it, but we can't assume that because you get flushing with high and low. And if you've got high estrogen, similarly, you will not lose weight at all. So cortisol, I've started doing this over the day for people, and my goodness, it's been an insight. There is a massive disconnect between how we feel in ourselves and what's actually happening physiologically in our body. The only way I know to show people what's happening in their body is to test it. Because otherwise I'm going on their hearsay. The subjective hearsay rarely matches up to the objective intelligence that we get from a test. So this person told me that they were busy and that they felt great. And then when we did this test, like remember cortisol should be about 20, 24 on waking. This was 88. By midday, it was still really high. Afternoon, super high. And nighttime, if we do not drop cortisol, you won't sleep. I hope you find this interesting. Let me know in the chat if I'm on point. Does anyone know, oh, I probably won't be able to see this to the end, why having high cortisol at the end of the day is a real problem? I haven't got the graph up here, but cortisol works with another hormone called melatonin. When we wake up and the light changing in the room, will naturally start stimulating the back of our eyes, which then starts what we call the HPA axis. So cortisol should actually spike in the morning, a bit like the green line here. Should go up, but as the day goes on, it should start dropping down. So our most active brain thinking time should be in the first part of the day. As the day goes on, yes, all the other, kind of menage stuff, and then towards later in the day, we want it to drop because the dropping of it around 7, 8 o'clock at night signals to the brain to release melatonin. And melatonin is our sleep hormone. So if we don't do that, and I had a client on today actually who is kind of doing the opposite of that. She's jumping on doing work late at night because she feels that's the only time she can do it. You can be excited, it's stressed. It can have a similar impact on your body. It can bump up cortisol, and she's not sleeping. And that's because all the hardcore work stuff, cerebral stuff, should be done the first part of the day. High testosterone in women, I touched on it before, a very common phenomena in polycystic ovary syndrome. In fact, that is what polycystic ovary syndrome is, and even girls with endometriosis. So I wouldn't be surprised if this person in front of me had endo. I can't remember their history, but high estrogen, high testosterone, will not lose weight, and they've also got high cortisol. So you can see the benefit of doing a saliva test. High estrogen, real problem, ladies, because estrogen's our beautiful hormone that gets us ready for babies and gets our boobies growing and all the secondary sexual characteristics. But too much of the stuff drives our reproductive tissue, so our breast tissue, our ovary tissue, our cervical tissue, and can be the starting point of cancers, particularly if you're low on vitamin D and a couple of other key nutrients. Happens in men as well. So I treat a lot of guys with weight, and high estrogen will stop men from losing weight. This one I really enjoyed. He was in terms of results. So young guy, 36, his mum's been a client on and off for years. I tend to act like the family GP. They might have first seen me back in 2004, and I've seen him grow up, and then he's gained weight, come back to me in his 30s. We did a saliva test, very low testosterone, hence he was quite depressed, but also very high estrogen. Estrogen for men is not good. It promotes prostate growth, but it makes them quite depressed, self-doubting, OCD. In fact, I suspect a lot of men with depression have this hormone mix that I'm looking at. But similarly, the man breasts, the love handles will be due to the high estrogen that we're seeing here, and they will not lose weight until that estrogen is taken care of. This was the same person 3 months later. Testosterone had come up, his estrogen had dropped. We used two supplements, we changed his food around a bit, and he was just almost, he felt like a different person. So people who lose weight long term get, just, I was thinking about this today. It's not a half attempt, it's a all-in attempt. And they want this more than they want anything, even though it might be their 10th attempt at trying to lose weight. They go, no, this is it. It's more than a commitment, it's a decision. Once the decision's made, that's it, the switch is on. Then I know people need the plan. You need to, and if you're not too sure where you are, I always recommend getting a baseline from someone who knows what they're talking about, me or somebody else. Get the right plan, the diet, have a chat to somebody about how you're setting up your structure of your day. That can make a big difference, someone having a look from the outside in. Then a little bit of momentum goes a long way because weight loss is not linear. You'll start to shift weight, and usually if there's a hormone problem, it won't happen for the first 4 weeks. So keeping that momentum going through the first 4 weeks is really important. I do like programs because they can make people feel like there's a start and an end point. But at some point, they've also got to teach you that you can do this on your own and empower you. I've put together, and as I said, I've been doing this for years. I've got a flat stomach program. Now, I'll take you through it. It's got eating plans, it's got my happy hormone formula, and you also get a strategy call with me. Now, the first part is the eating plans. Now, actually, I'm just trying to think which lady it was today. I remember. She's had it for a week. So she listened to this webinar, jumped on, got this, and has done nothing else. She's not exercising. She's the one who's been staying up late at night working and has started these eating plans, and she's already feeling shifts just from changing the food around. They're not like Jamie Oliver with 20,000 ingredients. They're pretty simple. They're designed to be nutritious and fill you up. She said she has not once had a craving because they're protein, carb, protein, carb, protein, carb. So it reduces the noise in your head if you've got that phenomena. They're designed for leniency, they're designed for eating out, they're designed if you've got kids. In fact, this is very much how I used to raise my three kids eating. And there's a lot of variation in there. Like if you find you really like one thing, interesting, I'm just looking at one of these. It's brown rice and grated apple for breakfast. That brown rice and grated apple for breakfast is one of the most popular breakfasts on the eating plans. People love it. It's nutty, it's got a bit of sweetness in it. People love it. The second part is what I call the hormone secrets or the happy female formula. This is, I would say, my collective wisdom of 20 odd years about hormones. There's 5 modules. I break down what stress is, how to read labels, how to set up a perfect day, why you do get anxiety, how can you reframe that. It's online, you can work through it, and the women who do also accelerate their results. And then the third part, I don't want to say the most valuable, but really cool part is that you get to talk to me for 30 minutes and we get to go over what's been bothering you, what the friction points are, what the roadblocks are, how can we move them out of the way. If you're taking supplements, are they the right ones for you? Come up with a short-term plan and identify anything else that might be going on for you. Or, if I think you need like a lady to actually, we worked out her thyroid could be involved. How does that look? What do we do about that? So you get a call from me with goes for 30 minutes. So you get all that. It's normally 944 if you were to break it down. But tonight I am more than happy to have it at 197 Australian. So I know someone on here probably doesn't work in that sort of currency. But that's the link you've got to use. Now, what I'm going to try and do is shrink that down, find my little cursor, which seems to have run away. Joy. I was going to put it in chat. There we go. If everyone can click on that, let me know. Just see if it opens up. Yes, small plate, Lee. It does make a difference. Oh, yes, yeah, you're saying right. Yes, yes, sorry, right. Yes, the small plate. Yes, yes. While you're all clicking on that, let me know if you have got any specific questions. I'm more than happy to answer what I can. Is that link opening up? Let me know in the chat if you can get it open. And some of the questions or things that I've found, yep, thank you. Some of the questions, particularly around menopause, the program's not specific for menopause, but what it also has is each week that it comes out, you get these. I've made these videos, they go for about a minute about how to manage hormones, how to manage your head thinking, manage your heart, and different sorts of exercise. So there's those things in there as well. I've also included some of my books as downloads. So there's a couple of other little things on there. I think the real value in this is getting the session with me, to be honest, because it's a bit like the lady today. Thanks, Lee. A bit like the lady today. She just needed some really brutal truth, and that all the excuses she was throwing at me, oh, I'm doing this and I've got this on, and she's retired and she still couldn't find time to exercise. So sometimes we need to hear from someone outside of us that this is my goal. I go, great, I really love that goal. It's a beautiful goal. And I I have to believe your goal is possible. And I always, I'll often see that it is possible, sometimes more than the person. But then the other stuff that starts coming, I'll hear is sometimes there's a bit of white fuzz. And I go, no, 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 no. These are excuses or these are reasons that you don't want to go there again. And I totally appreciate that. But if we're going to do this, if you want to lose weight, these are the things we've got to do. So it's a little bit of a accountability call in a way to say, right, a bit of a G up, that this has to happen. And a lot of people know what they've got to do, but they just need that little oomph to get them uh, rocket launched. Any more questions? If you have any, feel free always to reach out. Just send me an email on the link you can send it directly to me. It probably came out with these emails, and I shall get back to you. Let's just see if I can stop sharing. I'll stop sharing for now and jump back on. Thank you for being on, ladies. I hope you got a lot out of that. It was, yes, lots of little ideas to work with. Kirsten's in this space as well, so I really appreciate you being on. And Robin and Lee, if you need me, please reach out. As I said, that package is available, and I'll save this recording and send it to the women who couldn't be here tonight. Spread the word. You'll all be, the voice of you'll be able to help others as well with what you know, and also who we are is wonderful leadership. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and big love.